UFC Fight Night Vegas 20, Rozenstruik versus Gane takes place tonight, and I'm going to go through every single fight on the card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving you guys my last minute detailed prediction and breakdown for every single fight on the card. This is not about who wins overall. I don't want to do that. This is about how the fights themselves are all going to play out to a T every single round. I'm trying to call the finishes. I'm trying to call what happens in each round. I'm trying to call it exactly how it's going to go. We're not going to go off of ifs, ands, or buts here on the MMA Guru channel. I'm not looking at resumes, I'm not looking at momentum, I'm not looking at style matchups. I'm telling you exactly what's going to happen in there on the cage this weekend, and I'm going to keep trying this over and over and over again until I am correct and I ascend to a different level of predicting status and gain my golden beanie that I've been wanting this entire time. Starting with the early prelim opener of Dustin Jacoby versus Maxim Grishin. Maxim Grishin missed weight for this event. I think he's going to go out there and grapple with Dustin Jacoby in those early rounds. I think Dustin Jacoby's going to be looking quite good, landing some good shots on the feet. I think Maxim Grishin's going to land some good shots back, much like Justin Lede did, and I think Grishin's going to go out there, land some good shots on the feet against Dustin Jacoby. Jacoby will be landing back, however, and be doing better on the feet in the first round. However, he's going to be moving backwards a lot. Grishin's going to be pressuring him against the cage in this fight, and Jacoby's going to be trying to throw leg kicks on Maxim Grishin, which is one of his best techniques, I would argue. Those leg kicks are very, very nasty. I think he's going to be trying those leg kicks on Maxim Grishin while being pushed back, and I think that Grishin's going to shoot for some takedowns off of those leg kicks and put Dustin Jacoby against the cage and grind him out, because he can grapple. I think he will grapple out there. There's no way he's going to go out there and strike with Dustin Jacoby for too long, and I think he's going to be trying to usher Dustin Jacoby against the cage in each round, and I think it's going to be a very frustrating fight to watch for Dustin Jacoby, because he's going to be throwing leg kicks, looking like he's winning the rounds overall, and Maxim Grishin's going to show him what grappling's all about in MMA. He's very experienced. I think he takes down Dustin Jacoby off of those leg kicks while pushing him backwards against the cage, smothers him against the cage, gets wrist control, lands ground and pound shots, and secures himself every single round of this fight. 30-27. Maybe Jacoby wins the first round off of damage, and you could score it for him, and it's going to be a close first round, but I think overall the win will go to Maxim Grishin here for pressuring against Dustin Jacoby and taking him down against the cage off of leg kicks. Moving on up the card, Vince Chachero versus Ronnie Lawrence. Very similar fight to the first one, in my opinion. I think they're going to be having a scrappy fight on the feet, a little bit more of a stand-up bout than the early prelim opener, in all honesty. I think Lawrence is going to be willing to trade with Vince Chachero, who's a dangerous guy himself, and I think it's going to be a fun, scrappy bout on the feet, but I think Ronnie Lawrence is going to secure himself the rounds by, in the middle of those scrappy combinations, when things are just starting to get a little bit heated, maybe Caceres's landing some big shots on the feet, maybe Ronnie Lawrence is landing some big shots on the feet. I think he's going to be the difference with his grappling in this bout and shoot underneath in those long extended situations on the feet where they finally start to get a little bit scrappy and you feel like it's going to be a bit of a war, and maybe Vince Cacero's going to have a chance in there. I think every single time they get into an extended stand-up exchange, Lawrence is going to dive right underneath, get himself the takedown, get himself some control time, land some good shots at the end of each round, and secure himself the rounds that way, winning this one by 30-27, unanimous decision. I think Ronnie Lawrence just schools him with the takedowns to a decision win, and Cacero's going to be really, really frustrated on bottom, getting more and more tired each and every round, and those takedowns are going to come easier, and I think this is going to be a very frustrating performance to watch in the main, or in the first fight and the second fight of this card. I think it's going to be dictated by takedowns. Lawrence is going to go for more of them than Maxim Grishin will, and I think he's going to go for them in the middle of combinations with the hands, with Vince Chachero, securing himself a 30-27 unanimous decision. Moving on up the card, Alexis Davis versus Sabina Mazo. I think we're going to be wondering why Alexis Davis hasn't been given her contact lenses or glasses, because I think she's going to be throwing a lot of whiffy shots in this fight against Sabina Mazo, and I think Sabina Mazo is going to control the range out there, jab off Alexis Davis's face. She's got a reach advantage. I think she's going to use that to the full extent, landing good shots on the back foot. I think Davis will be the person that's out there initiating the situations, trying to land good shots, but I think each time she tries and does that, Sabina Mazo is going to tag her with a clean 1-2 or a clean jab and scoot around the outside, just making Alexis Davis look like a little bit of a fool. Very Holly Holm versus Ronda Rousey-esque. I think Davis is going to be going out there looking to scrap, and I think Sabina Mazo is going to go out there and just tune her up with 1-2s every single time she tries to close the distance by using her superior striking. I'm going to go with Sabina Mazo, 30-27, unanimous decision, because it's females MMA. We're going to go with a decision win for Sabina Mazo, 30-27, jab in the face off of Alexis Davis each round, and eventually sometimes following it up with a straight 2 that's going to crack Davis. Moving on up the card, Alexander Hernandez versus Thiago Moises headlines the prelims. Before I even get into this fight, I just want to say, why the fuck is this on the prelims? This could be a co-main event of this card. Why is it making way for Alex Caceres versus Kevin Kroom? I get their big names, but come on. Surely someone who's close to the rankings in Hernandez should get a main card slot. But whatever, we're talking about the fights here. I think Hernandez is going to KO Moises in the first round, in all honesty. I think Moises is a little bit green on the feet. He doesn't have the best means to get things to the ground, and I think he's going to fail some takedowns on Alexander Hernandez early after shooting in some situations on the feet. Looking for the takedown, I think Hernandez is going to defend it well. Moises is going to get a little bit sloppy on the feet, try and land those overhands, and where Bobby Green was punishing him with a jab every now and again, I think Hernandez is going to punish him with some power in those stand-up combinations. I think it's going to be a great scrap while it lasts. Both guys are going to land their good shots, but I think Moises is going to be a little bit less technical in those stand-up exchanges, and I can see Alexander Hernandez landing a nice vicious hook combination, much like his last win as well, against Thiago Moises. I just see there's a slowness in Moises' stand-up, and I think the speed difference of Alexander Hernandez in that first round is going to be very evident. He's going to be chewing at the legs, landing good body kicks, landing good jabs, landing good twos, landing good hooks, landing a couple head kicks here and there, whereas Moises is going to be looking for his overhands and hooks majority of the time, and I think eventually Hernandez is going to beat him with those straight shots down the middle, finish with combination hooks against the cage, and I think Moises is going to go down in the first round by TKO to Alexander Hernandez. The great announces himself as a lightweight contender against Thiago Moises. I think he gets the job done by first round TKO. Moving on up the card to the main card, Alex Caceres, I just read Alexis Davis's name. Alex Caceres versus Kevin Kroom takes place on the main card. This is risky, and if I'm honest with you guys, this is the one that I'm regretting my prediction for the most, because Kroom is such a big underdog, and he shouldn't be. I think this is going to be a very close fight, with some really good grappling exchanges, and some really good scrappy exchanges on the feet as well. But I think Alex Caceres is going to be better and more technical overall than Kevin Kroom in those situations. We're going to get a little bit scrappy. We're going to get a little bit scrambly in this bout. I think this one's going to be the fight of the night of the card, in my opinion, and I could see it being a real scrappy fun fight. I'm going to call a 29-28 unanimous decision for Alex Caceres. I think he's just going to secure himself some of those rounds where he needs to by winning a scramble exchange, by landing on top at the end of a round where he was on bottom beforehand, or looking for submissions off of his back while Kevin Kroom is on top of him, just securing some control time. And I think he's just going to land better shots on the feet against Kevin Kroom as well, using his range. He's got great kicks as well, and I think Kevin Kroom's going to be swinging for his head, and Alex Caceres is going to stay calm and patient and win himself the fight over the duration. 29-28. Maybe the first round goes to Kevin Kroom. Actually, I'm going to call that right now. I think Kevin Kroom's going to win the first round of this bout, but I think Alex Caceres is going to show the veteran status in the UFC that he has and go out there and win the second and third round of this bout to win it by unanimous decision. 29-28. Alex Caceres gets the job done. Moving on up the card, Pedro Munhoz versus Jimmie Rivera. This is still quite a good card. I'm looking forward to this one. I think Jimmie Rivera is going to win 29-28. Again, another decision like that. I think that he's going to maybe lose the third round of this bout, however. Not like Caceres versus Kroom. I think it's going to be the flip side of that. And I think Jimmie Rivera is going to go out there, land great combinations in the boxing early, while Pedro Munhoz is trying to chop at his legs. He's going to leave his head open. We saw Edgar land combination punches, but I'm not talking about what former opponents have done. I'm sorry. Rivera's going to go out there, land good combinations on the feet with his hands, keep stinging Pedro Munhoz every single time he goes for that leg kick, making him pay, landing good jabs to the body of Pedro Munhoz as well. I think a jab to the body is something that's going to be used massively by Jimmie Rivera here, because he's a shorter guy and he's got reach, but fuck all of that. We're just talking about how the fight goes. I think Jimmie Rivera lands combination punches in the first two rounds, moves around the outside, while Pedro Munhoz is I think he's going to be trying to pressure him and trap him against the cage the entire time, and I don't see him being able to do that against a guy like Jimmie Rivera. I think Rivera is going to move away, move around the outside, get out of danger whenever Munhoz is trying to trap him against a cage. And Munhoz is going to land a lot of leg kicks, a lot of front kicks to the body, maybe a couple of jabs here and there, but Rivera is going to win the combination exchanges, landing the bigger shots early and landing more of them in the first two rounds. But in the third round, I feel like Munhoz is going to mount a little bit of a comeback. The front kicks to the body are going to start working, the leg kicks are going to start working, they're going to start paying a little bit of an effect on Jimmie Rivera, and he's going to start to slow down in that third round after taking all of those investment shots off of Pedro Munhoz. But I think we're going to find out after this bout the reason why Munhoz kind of needs 5 rounds to win bouts, because his style is very attrition based. And at bantamweight for 3 rounds, you're not going to break someone down in that amount of time, in all honesty. So I feel like Munhoz is going to be doing good in the last round, win himself the last round, and maybe we'd say, if there was an extra 4 and 5, Munhoz would have finished him. But I think Rivera is going to win the first 2 rounds of this bout. Munhoz's pressure just won't get there in time to get himself the win. Moving on up the card, Montana De La Rosa versus Mayra Bueno Silva. I mean, I think this is going to be a stinker grappling bout, in all honesty. I think Mayra Bueno Silva is going to land some good submission attempts. Same with Montana De La Rosa. I think it's going to be a sloppy grappling bout while it lasts. And I'm going to hedge my bets that Mayra Bueno Silva, being the bigger, larger girl with a little bit of a better record and a better bit of experience, she's coming... I don't know. I feel like Mayra Bueno Silva in this one's... It's so hard to predict these shit fucking matchups. I'm going to go with Mayra Bueno Silva to win it by unanimous decision. And I think she just wins the scrambles by being a little bit bigger, ending up on top in certain situations, landing more total strikes. Montana De La Rosa's pretty good. I just think she's going to get out-muscled in the grappling exchanges by Mayra Bueno Silva, who's going to end up in the better positions when they scramble, and that's going to win herself the fight aesthetically. I don't think there's going to be too much damage in this one. I don't see it being a stand-up war. I think we're going to see a bit of a scrambly grappling bout between the pair of them, and Bueno Silva's going to get the better of it by ending up on top after submission attempts, things like this, ending up in mount in certain situations. I think Mayra Bueno Silva gets it done by decision. Moving on to the co-main event. Nikita Krylov versus Magomed Ankalaev. Now, this is a good one. I think that Nikita Krylov's going to be doing good every single time until he's not. You know what I'm going to call this looking exactly like? Without the grappling, I think this is going to look a lot like Nico Price versus Vicente Luque in the rematch that they had. Krylov's going to be coming forward, putting on the pressure. 1, 2, front kick, sloppy shots, trying to put the pressure on Magomed Ankalaev, maybe landing a lot of those shots. But I think when he goes against the cage with Ankalaev, and Ankalaev backs up a little bit after circling around in the early rounds, I think they're both going to be tapping at leg kicks on each other. They both got good leg kicks. I think Krylov's going to eventually start landing 1, 2s and front kicks against the cage, pushing Magomed Ankalaev backwards. But I think in those moments where they're against the cage and it's all or nothing, and Krylov's looking for the shot after he's finally backed up Ankalaev's going to be too crisp technically and catch Krylov coming in with a sloppy combination, as he does it with a check hook or a rear hook or any kind of hook, in my opinion, or maybe even an uppercut at some situation. And I think he's going to catch Krylov trying to smother him with better technique, better power, and just better boxing overall. I think Ankalaev's going to get it done by schooling him by decision. I think it's going to be a very close fight, but I think it'll be very evident that Ankalaev is just a better fighter by the end of this technically than Krylov, and I think Krylov's going to get cracked trying to smother Ankalaev against the cage multiple times, but end up on takedowns, and this is where I want to call a very specific thing happening in this bout. I think Krylov's going to shoot for some takedowns and get reversed by Magomed Ankalaev a bunch in this fight. Magomed Ankalaev's got great reversals in his bouts, so does Nikita Krylov, but Nikita Krylov's a little bit more sloppy than Magomed Ankalaev when he does those reversals, and I think Magomed Ankalaev's going to get a takedown shot on him. I think takedown's going to be shot by Krylov after being caught by a hook against the cage after he's done some pressure work on the feet. He's going to shoot a takedown out of panic just to try and get things to the ground and see what it's like down there rather than getting punched on the feet. Ankalaev's going to secure his hips, shimmy off Nikita Krylov, get his underhooks, end up on top in the scrambles, and look to land some decent total strikes from there. I don't see a finish happening here. Both guys are very veteranish. I don't think either guy's going to get caught on the chin and put out cold or anything like that. And I think that Ankalaev's going to win this one by out-scrambling and ending up on top after Krylov shoots his own takedowns on Ankalaev and using that to get total strikes and win himself the rest of each round. And I think I'm going to go with a 30-27 unanimous decision for Magomed Ankalaev. And as the rounds go on, it's going to start to get a little bit more depressing watching Nikita Krylov slow down, get a little bit more sloppy, a little bit more exhausted, landing some good shots on the feet early. I think he's going to come with a lot of volume, land with some 1-2s, some front kicks against the cage. Ankalaev's going to crack him with a big shot. He'll turn into a grappler, and I think in those grappling situations, Ankalaev's going to end up on top each and every time without even shooting for them himself. Moving on up the card to the main event, Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Ciryl Gane. I'm going to go with Ciryl Gane winning this fight, and I think he's going to win it by ground and pound. However, I will say this in this as well. Gane by submission is not far-fetched here, and I think he actually could go out there and get it done by submission. I think he's going to land a lot of shots on the feet. The range is going to be too much for Jairzinho early. He's going to be trying to land that check hook. Jairzinho is. We know about that check hook. He's trying to catch a guy coming in, but I think Ciryl Gane's going to use his jab, his range, his front kicks, his leg kicks that he has. His inside leg kicks are always nasty. I think he's going to win the range game against Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Rozenstruik's going to be coming forward at the start of the first round, and Gane's going to be moving around the outside, trying to pepper away Jairzinho Rozenstruik. After a couple of those shots keep landing from Ciryl Gane, and maybe Rozenstruik's going to catch him here and there with a big shot, but I think Gane will take them the same way Overeem did, in my opinion. I think Gane's got a better chin than Overeem, and I think eventually at the end of the first round, there's going to be a little bit of a momentum shift. The front kicks and the leg kicks from Gane are going to start kicking in on Rozenstruik. Gane's going to be the guy aggressing at the end of the first round, landing good shots. Rozenstruik's going to be the guy backing up, and when Rozenstruik backs up, he leaves his chin a little bit open. I think Gane's going to crack him with a big shot of the first round. Round over, round 2 kicks in, and then we see the massive difference in the fight. Rozenstruik will no longer be the guy pressuring Ciryl Gane. Will pick right back up after the end of the first round. In the second round, when Gane is ushering him against the cage, landing good shots, Rozenstruik's going to look for his big counter hook whenever Gane comes in for a combination, and when Gane goes in, he's going to shoot a takedown on Rozenstruik and finish it by ground and pound or submission. I don't care which one you want to go for. I'm going to change my pick from TKO, I reckon. I'm going to go with submission. I like the odds more. I think it's more of a risky bet, but I think it's also kind of more likely for the risk that's out there as well. And I'm going to go with Gane by submission here. I think he's going to land good shots on Jairzinho Rozenstruik. And I think he's going to get himself... You know what? Rozenstruik's going to go down. As soon as Rozenstruik goes down, he lifts his knees up to try and stop people passing his guard. And I think when he does that and lifts those legs up, Gane's going to pull a heel hook and get himself a heel hook submission in the second round of this fight after taking down Rozenstruik against the cage. Rozenstruik's going to be looking for a counter hook. Gane's going to be throwing, feinting, go underneath it with a takedown, get the takedown on Rozenstruik, and then eventually go for a heel hook submission on the ground. And I think Gane's going to finish it by submission in the second round, actually. I've changed my mind in the middle of this prediction. I think I'm actually going to see it. Though I was just thinking of how the fight's going to go out in my head, and I think Gane's going to take him down and submit him with a heel hook. I don't think he's going to go for a TKO. That's too risky. He has the submission game. I think he's going to use it against Rozenstruik tonight, and we're going to realise that this guy's more than dangerous in way more areas than just on the feet that he showed in his last fight, and Gane's going to get the submission in the second round by heel hook. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Goodbye. Like and subscribe. Toodle pip. This one's the charm. We'll get there eventually. I will be 100% correct and achieve greatness that I desire. Goodbye.